Hurricane Milton strengthens back to a Category 5 storm as President Biden warns it could be the worst to hit Florida in a century. Benjamin Netanyahu claims Israel has killed the possible replacement for the head of Hezbollah in Lebanon, but Israeli forces say they can't confirm it. And the man known as the godfather of AI wins this year's Nobel Prize in Physics.
Our headlines for you today. A life or death choice. Millions are urged to evacuate as Hurricane Milton heads towards Florida. Authorities say the storm surges are not survivable.
At 6, Hurricane Milton is closing in on Florida. Millions are told to prepare for catastrophic impact. In the last few minutes, President Biden has addressed the nation.
Winds will be fierce at well over 100 miles per hour, with storm surges reaching up to 15 feet and up to 18 inches of rain. It's looking like the storm of the century.
Florida's West Coast cities are turned into ghost towns as millions move away from the coast with huge storm surges expected. Already dangerous tornadoes developing over Florida hours before Hurricane Milton is due to make landfall.
Post Office Chief Executive Nick Reed is due in front of the public inquiry into the Horizon IT scandal today.
Good morning. Delays, roadworks and traffic jams, familiar frustrations for drivers, and now the best and worst motorways have been named in a survey. I'll reveal which they are. It's a familiar tale, isn't it? Traffic, endless roadworks and the state of road surfaces. Those are among the main reasons why people dislike the roads they drive on, according to the watchdog Transport Focus. It's asked more than 9,000 drivers about their last journey on a major road, and here are the results. The best road by far was the A19 in Yorkshire, with a driver satisfaction score of 85%. The best motorway was the M40 linking London with Birmingham, followed by the M4, which runs between London and Cardiff.
Gas thefts in England, Scotland and Wales have risen by 25% over the last year. Thefts occur when people tamper with a meter or bypass it completely so it doesn't record how much energy is being used. Tampering with a gas meter is incredibly dangerous and it leads to leaks and kills or injures 280 people every year, according to Stay Energy Safe. The advertising watchdog has ruled against 6 of the UK's biggest broadband providers as they all failed to make mid-contract price increases clear to customers. The Advertising Standards Authority says BT, EE, PlusNet, TalkTalk, O2 and Virgin Media Broadband misled customers by placing important information about price rises in less prominent areas of their website. Parents who have experienced the loss of a baby early in pregnancy will now be able to apply to have their child's life officially recognised, regardless of how much time has passed. The government has announced it will extend the Baby Loss Certificate scheme, which launched earlier this year for those who had experienced a loss since September 2018.
We're just looking through the papers which have arrived for this morning. Should we have a look at the front pages? And we'll start with The Guardian today. The headline there, "Stay and You Die," as the mayor of Tampa in Florida warns residents to evacuate the area in anticipation of that Category 5 storm, Hurricane Milton, which Carol will be explaining a bit about later.
The Daily Express lead with a warning from the head of MI5, who says the security service has one hell of a job on its hands to manage threats from Russia and Iran towards the UK.
The Times this morning reports that an HS2 light railway line between Birmingham and Manchester could still be built under plans being considered by governments after the original high-speed line connecting the two cities was scrapped by the Conservative government about a year ago.
And finally, the Metro leads with Wagatha Thrifty, as barristers for Colleen Rooney and Rebecca Vardy have been back in court following a dispute over Mrs Rooney's legal costs during the Wagatha Christie libel trial. You remember that. Mrs Vardy was ordered to pay 90% of Mrs Rooney's legal fees, which were originally estimated at £540,000, but have since risen to £1.8 million.
That's definitely headline of the day, isn't it?
Wagatha Thrifty.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
There's no end to those.
No.
One subject that we're all obsessed with here on the programme, the entire team, is sleep. It's the first thing we talk about every morning. How did you sleep last night?
Yeah.
You had a bad night's sleep?
Oh, Sunday night, John. Oh, I did the programme Monday morning on an hour's sleep, didn't I? It was like...
An hour? You lucky thing.
Yeah, I know. It was really not good.
Well,
just one of those nights when you can't sleep.
Do you feel you've caught up now?
Definitely.
Well, maybe you haven't. because there's been some research done in Finland which says that if you have a bad night's sleep, it can take you 2 weeks, 15 days or nights to catch up again. It's still having an impact all that time later.
Yeah, and the bad news, John, is the bad news for you is it really affects your mood. Have I been grumpy?
No, you haven't actually.
No, I haven't.
Or maybe just consistently in a bad mood. I don't notice the difference.
Stop it.
Thousands of pounds worth of banned foreign confectionery have been sent for incineration by Westminster Council. Officers say they seized more than 600 treats which contained ingredients forbidden in the UK. The haul, including American sweets, cereals, crisps and fizzy drinks, was seized from one of Oxford Street's biggest shops in September. The leader of Westminster City Council, Adam Hugg, warned there are more raids to come over the next few weeks. Survivors of accidents on London's transport network are calling for government intervention to address urgent safety issues. Figures uncovered by solicitors representing victims have shown a rise in accidents on train platforms, including falls and people getting stuck indoors. TFL says safety is our utmost priority and we are committed to learning from every collision. This week, BBC London is visiting the capital's 4 nominations for the Sterling Prize, the most prestigious architectural award in the country. One of those is the redevelopment of the National Portrait Gallery. It's one of the developments which could win the top prize at next week's ceremony. The judges for the Sterling Prize were impressed with the architect's climate considerations.
Here at the National Portrait Gallery, we found 950 metres squared of space which was underutilised and turned it into public space. And for me, this is the essence of tackling the climate crisis. So I think that's been recognised by the RIBA and as being important, and I think that's what this project is really about.
Also tonight, shock as the front-runner to be the next leader of the Conservative Party is eliminated from the contest. James Cleverly is out as Tory MPs put Kemi Badenoch and Robert Jenrick through to the last 2. Joe Biden has spoken by phone to the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to discuss Israel's response to Iran's missile attack last week. And the history maker Joe Root, now England's highest ever scorer of Test match runs.
The dream becomes a reality for the amputee Lionesses, who've now raised enough money to compete in the World Cup next year.
The government rejects any undue influence after it emerges Taylor Swift received a police escort whilst in the capital.
This raises questions about whether the Home Secretary Yvette Cooper and the Mayor of London Sadiq Khan have improperly interfered with the operational independence of the police to do a favour for a celebrity.
I think people are trying to make mischief. I don't think there's any mischief to be made. This seems to be a very, very sound operational decision.
Also on the programme, the 16-year-old killed with a ninja-style sword bought online. His teenage killer is jailed for 15 years. The TFL safety scandal, victims and the bereaved accuse Transport for London of neglecting safety.
This is for all the parents whose children have been evacuated and for my boy, George.
And Blitz, the latest movie from director Steve McQueen, opens the BFI London Film Festival.